Um, all right, I guess I'll call this webinar to start. My name is Aileen Dooley. I'm the coordinator of this Leonardo da Vinci Partnership Project, which is funded by the Lifelong Learning Programme. Our project is entitled Drug Helplines Online and Interactive. And what we're doing today is having a dissemination webinar. We're basically going to summarise what we've done during the life of this project, because we're nearing the end of it now, and we're also disseminating it across Europe through the wonders of the internet. I would ask your patience, because this is also a learning experience for us, and we've not done this before, so there may be slight glitches, but we're striving for perfection. So, as I said, my name is Aileen Dooley. I manage the HSE Drugs and HIV Helpline in Dublin, in Ireland, and I'm the coordinator. There's a few things just to say. You're welcome to join our discussions through the chat function on GoToWebinar. Just be warned that different devices seem to have different capabilities. So if you're on a smartphone, there may be difficulties joining the chat. We gather that the most ideal device to use would be a laptop or desktop computer. But you're welcome to join in the chat. If you have any questions, we'll attempt to answer them during the webinar. And also there's a allotted space at the end of the webinar for questions, further discussion and questions also. The presentations will be available by email if you email info@fesat.org. That's info@fesat.org. Okay, so this is the schedule. As you can see, I'm going to just do my brief presentation on the context and names of the project, the timeline of the project, and I'm going to just outline the outcomes and achievements from the project. After me, we'll have a presentation of the project outputs, which is the social media guidelines, strategy template and calendar by Catherine Fox from Cavan Institute in Ireland and Dan van der Gouw from the Drugs Info Line in Utrecht in the Netherlands. And then after that, we'll have the results of our survey of the helpline's use of social media from Asle Fagerström from Vesterdals in Norway, and also from Tom Evenepoel from the Drug Line in Belgium. And then each partner will do a brief presentation. So my presentation, and I warn you, you may need seasickness medication watching this, because I've used Prezi. So let's go. So this is setting the context. So Drug Helplines Online and Interactive. The context for this, no, hold on a second. Close your eyes. I have to go back to the start, sorry. Well, I did mention seasickness. Okay, so the context is that we had a previous project on best practice for drug helplines, also a Leonardo da Vinci partnership project on best practice. And during that life of that project, a lot of partners expressed an interest in working further in the area of social media and gaining some expertise and also exchanging knowledge on the topic. So that's the context. The objectives then were to organise events that promote the development of competencies in new communications technologies / social media. We used new communication technologies because we didn't even really know what the limits were on social media at that time. Did it include email counselling and other things? We wanted to learn through practice and exchange how to use social media and new communication technologies to increase accessibility of drug helpline services and to develop knowledge and skills in online communication. In other words, we wanted to learn through practice and exchange with each other how to better use social media in the drug helpline context. So the timeline, we've had 4 meetings. They started with the kickoff meeting in Cavan in October 2013. We had speakers in on social media at that time that were basically bringing us up to speed on what the capabilities or some of the capabilities of social media and what we could do with the project. And from that, we developed ideas on how to proceed with the project. The next meeting was in Oslo in May 2014, and Asla and Tom then presented the results of the first survey of drug helplines and their social media, and that will be presented shortly, because that survey was repeated and the results are very interesting. We also had presentations on many uses of social media, including gamification, how it can be used as an internal communications tool, and the uses of Facebook and Twitter as tools also, all from the perspective of drug helplines. Our third meeting was in Sofia in Bulgaria in November 2014. And during that meeting, we finalised our project outputs, which are the social media guidelines, a strategy template for social media, developing a social media strategy for your organisation, and a planning tool. And these will be presented shortly by Catherine and Dan. And then we also planned today's meeting, which was the dissemination meeting. And here we are, Brussels meeting and webinar. We're sharing our project outcomes and disseminating and impressing. And our project outputs, so these are what will be outlined shortly. We developed social media guidelines, a checklist and pointers of how, what is, I suppose, best practice for social media. We also had the strategy template and a media planner. And you'll hear more about that shortly. And then the project outcomes, these are less tangible, but also very valuable nonetheless. We gain knowledge on how to use social media and how their use can benefit drug helplines. We develop skills to design social media as a social media strategy for our organisations and our individual organisations, because we all have differences. And we gain greater insight into resources and plans, and the plans necessary to have a social media strategy. And that's me. Okay, so the next two presentations, as I've already introduced, are Catherine Fox from Cavan Institute in Ireland and Dan van der Gouw from Drugs Infoline in Utrecht. And they're going to introduce the project outputs to you.
So, hello everyone, I'm Catherine Fox, I'm from Cavan Institute. Cavan Institute is one of the two educational partners involved in this project, and our contribution to this project, along with our other educational partnership, Norwegian School of Information Technology, has been to work with the drug helplines in the development of social media guidelines, strategies, templates. And I'm joined by my colleague Dan,
who is working at the Trimbos Institute in the Netherlands, and we run a number of helplines, among which the Drugs Info line.
Okay. In our presentation this afternoon, we're going to look at the social media guidelines that we have developed as part of this project. After the guidelines have been developed, we recommend to the helplines that they should look at a social media strategy and look at some of the tools used for managing a social media campaign, including a social media calendar, scheduling tools, etc. And as Aileen said earlier, all of the guidelines and information will be available directly from info@fasat.org. So we're just going to show you now the current draft edition, which will be the final edition of the social media guidelines, and they should be appearing on your screen now. These guidelines are designed to guide organisations on things to consider and make suggestions around best practice. Because the helplines and the organisations involved in this project all operate under different criteria in their own countries, it has proved difficult to develop a specific guideline which will suit everyone. These guidelines are suggestions and strategies that we would suggest that organisations consider when drafting their social media policies. Once the policies are drafted, then, as I said earlier, it would be advisable to move on and look at a strategy for the use of social media and to look at tools. These obviously should be integrated with whatever your marketing and communication strategies and tools that you currently use. Just to give a little bit of clarity as to why these guidelines were developed. We as users interact with social media as service providers, but not as members of the general public, but as representatives of organisations. So we have come across many scenarios, and we've considered many different scenarios where our organisations and our colleagues might be using social media. When we talk about social media, we include the most common ones, Facebook, Twitter, etc. But it basically covers any user-generated content which may be published. And that is the key thing to remember in the use of social media. Everything that can be published online can be viewed online. and it could potentially become a breaking news story. So that is the underlying criteria to bear in mind when using social media, that it is fast and everything that is published could appear on someone else's timeline and become a major breaking news story. So in looking at the guidelines, we developed them under 3 specific areas. The first one is sharing information responsibly. And in that, we have asked questions focusing on the type of information that could be shared, focusing on what might be harmful material. Okay, and we also considered the issue of sharing, liking, and retweeting. So using content that was not generated by you or your employees in your social media outputs, but rather sharing material that has been generated by someone else. And we would advise under the guidelines that you look at the issues surrounding the use of material which is not generated by your organisation, and look at issues regarding copyright, image, authorship and quotations. One of the interesting things that developed from this project was on the focus of anonymity. As educational institutions, we were surprised to learn about the restrictions placed on people working in helplines on their anonymity. So it is something, given the makeup of the organisations involved in this project, which needs closer examination by each of the projects. We also, under this section, focused on the issue of informing the public about making comments on the area of drug addiction and other areas in this section. So we then looked at the who and when. So who could post, and as Dan will explain later, the policy that they have in place is the use of social media by their helplines on a 7-day basis. So who can post, when can they post, and how often can they post. And then finally, the guidelines examine the voice of the organisation. So the difference between somebody posting on a personal basis and the considerations to take into account when somebody posts on a personal basis, and whether they're clearly identified with an organisation, and also the distinctions between personal comments and commenting on behalf of the organisation. One of the key areas we stress when designing your social media policy and strategy is to look at the whole area of privacy settings on your social media accounts. The issue of tagging, liking, and the whole issue of who is responsible for moderating the comments, and whether comments or postings can and should be deleted. Overall, the social media guidelines, the strategy, the whole operation of a social media campaign has to be looked at in the context of the professional ethics of your own organisation and your own professional body. And these guidelines, as we said at the outset, are a series of questions that we would encourage organisations to use to look at when they're formulating their own strategy and when they're developing their templates and calendars for the use of social media. Now, Dan will explain a little bit about how the strategy and guidelines have been implemented in his organisation.
Yes, in 2011 we started with social media, specifically with Twitter, which was at that time and still is very popular in our country. When we started, we had no protocol, we had no guidelines, we had nothing, and we just started out of nothing and just, it was a sort of experiment, twittering whatever you could Twitter, and there were days that we Twittered 20 or 30 or even 50 messages, and there were days when nothing was posted. Also about the content, it was reports on scientific literature, but also very basic things such as a news article on Adolf Hitler sniffing cocaine. We thought it was funny, but it makes sense, and so on and so on. But then, as time progressed, we got some complaints from people who followed us, and they said, "Well, if you want to be taken seriously and reliable, don't send out these kinds of messages about Adolf Hitler, because it's destroying your credibility." And so this, and another thing was profile photos of some of our staff. They were online, and they were, it was one of our co-workers in a swimsuit, not the kind of pictures you would like to see for your workers. So in the end, we said, well, we should do something about this, and then we developed a very simple protocol based on the practice and on the experience that we have done. And this protocol was actually the basis for the well-developed guidelines that we are presenting today. A little bit about the use of these protocols in our field. We were among the first in drug helplines world to actually start with Twitter or with social media. In this protocol, we had some ideas about the target group. You have to define your target group very well, whether it's the general public or it's specifically hardcore users or parents of users. It's very important that you think about that and decide about that. Also about the messages, as I told you, it's not very good to one day post 50 messages and then weeks you don't post anything at all. So there has to be a continuity in spread of information and also the content. So as we like to be taken seriously, the content of our message is more serious than we had at the start. In the protocol is also some information about the position of the work, the daily work, and the involvement of social media in daily work. What we have seen over the past 4 years is that the time spent on social media increased year by year and basically month by month. Now we have one person who spends at least 1 hour a day on social media and probably more. And this includes the weekends because the Twitter and Facebook, it doesn't stop on the weekends, so you have to take care of that as well. There's also some very handy tools for you to actually to have tweets sent out in an automatic way. And so also organizations have to take into account the fact that social media is not something you do aside your daily job, but it's actually your daily job for some people. And this is an important thing as well. And finally, there's much more to say about these protocols or guidelines, but the interaction with followers, for instance, if you look at Twitter, it's important that you realize how to deal with that because you will get direct messages, but do you answer them? Because it takes a lot of time, but maybe you don't want to answer them, but it's interactive and all the social media are interactive. So if you don't do anything with that, you might also lose your crowd. So you have to decide on this topic as well. Well, that's it for now. I would like to conclude with the fact that, as Catherine already mentioned, is that for us, through experience, we learned that it's very important that you think twice or 3 times before you post a message, especially more personal messages, because whatever you post online will remain there forever. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. And now we're going to move on to our colleagues, Asla and Tom, who are going to present the results of the survey of the helplines on the use of social media.
Can I start, Tom? Okay. Yes. My name is Asle Fagerström. I'm from Westerdals School of Art, Communication and Technology in Oslo.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Evenepoel from Druglijn in Belgium. We're going to present some slides and data on a survey we did, which was actually already done in 2014, as Aileen already mentioned, and which was repeated recently. I think Asle can say some more about the methodology.
Yes. First of all, the aim of this study was to have an overview of how social media is used by organizations in Europe. And we used a survey that was sent out in the end of March and ended 18th of April this year. In the mail, we sent out one reminder to the participants, and we got in total 13 answers.
So the people we addressed were all drug helplines, in some extent associated with VESAT, the European network of drug helplines, and of course it also included the educational bodies within our partnership. We initially tried to make, we wanted to make some comparisons between 2014 and 2015, but because of the limited response rate, it's a bit difficult to really come to strong conclusions on that.
In addition, we can also mention that we will not do any statistical analysis based on 13 answers. What we will show now is actual numbers.
Yeah, and we'll try to make some interpretations based on those.
This figure show actually service organizations' use of social media in order to create value for the organization. And as we see, 6 out of the participants in the study, they have used social media for more than 4 years.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a, on one hand, experienced helplines, and on the other hand, some organizations or some helplines still picking in.
The next picture, this table, actually focuses on how organization sees the positive value by using social media. We will not go into detail here in all these numbers, but we have highlighted in green the positive things and things we should be aware of, and in orange/red we have marked things which will be maybe a little bit negative or sees as a challenge for the organization. So Tom, can you see something about what do we see here?
Yeah, I think that what's mentioned in green is basically pretty logic in the sense that it's probably in line with the external communication strategy that a organization like a helpline would have anyway, spreading information, reaching your targets groups. The things in red, I think, are closely related to the specific characteristics of your helpline. If your helpline is a government helpline, fundraising will not be a topic for you. If you don't work with volunteers, that won't be of interest to you as well. So there you see that some value it and others completely
don't. This next table shows which activities the service actually sees as the most valuable for the communication activities that they are doing. And as we see marked in green here, we see that websites, we have search engine optimization, we have social media and online advertisement as one activities that create high value.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence that those are the most cheap ways of advertising. Basically, if you look at other options like radio or TV advertisements, it's of course very expensive, and those things are often the kind of advertisements that helplines simply can't afford. So it's a clever choice to go for online opportunities to focus on for your communication strategy.
The next slide show a figure related to the relation the organization view on readiness for using social media. Actually means how ready are the organization for the use of social media. And what do we see here, Tom?
I think that it shows mainly here in dark red that for some organizations there is still an issue of having a green light from above, from your management, from your directors. There's also the economic reality of having people, capacity, people and budget available. Interesting is that what has been mentioned before, that for helplines, ethical considerations and the sensitiveness of talking about drugs online doesn't really seem to be an issue. So it's a good thing to notice that helplines have found their way around those challenges.
Next slides show a table of how much time actually people are working with social media. And as we see here, most of the participants use about 1 to 5 hours a week, or up to 6 to 10 hours each week.
Yeah, so that's a reality. I think I noticed Dan mentioned it before, that at the Drugs Info line, someone spends 1 hour per day, 7 days a week. So even though it's tools that you are free to use, there's always the investment of time, of your staff capacity. So that's also something people need to be aware of, and that perhaps they have to make choices in.
The next question we asked was related to monitoring of activities in social media. As we can see from this table, 4 out of 10 participants who answered this question said that they monitor activities in social media. However, 3 say no, and 3 say no, but we are about to get started. So what can we interpret from this, Tom?
Well, the yes are very right to do so, and the no's should do so, I guess. It's very important to know what's being told about your helpline online, because your reputation can be made or can be broken online even without you noticing. So it's really a point of attention, I think.
The next one is related to how the organization actually is working with social media. In a way, give an indication about the readiness of how they are more organized, the work with social media. Can we say anything related to this?
I think this reflects what's also already been mentioned, like we learned that our partners in the Netherlands, they started out in a quite spontaneous way. That's probably a reality for a lot of helplines. And we know from other partners within our project that they started on a more, constructive and elaborate and strategy-based way. So it's a bit both sides, I guess.
The next question we asked was related to the value. What kind of value is created by using social media? And here we see categorized in bad, good, very good, and it was possible to check more alternative than one here. I'm not sure whether we should go into this in detail. I given a greater an okay overview of the situation. Maybe we should go to the next question. The next one is related to the policies in the organization, which may be technical hinder the professional use of social media. And we see that out of 10 answers, 9 say no, there are no technical hinder here. And that's actually a positive.
That's good news, and yes. We've got the impression that has gotten better, because when we started the partnership, we learned from some partners that they simply weren't allowed or simply didn't have the technical possibility to use social media on their work computers or network.
The next question we went into was related to workers or employees in the drug helpline organization and their initiatives in interacting in social media on their own, actually, because this is an interesting dimension which also was mentioned in the previous presentation.
Yeah, which is also very specific for helplines. If you demand anonymity from your staff, you should consider what the roles of your staff that use social media should be or can be. So I think it's a very important point of attention.
And then next will be guidelines, as also was highlighted in the previous presentation, we ask for how many of the organization actually have guidelines for the employees to participate in social media.
Yeah.
And here we see out of 10 answers, 2 of them say they have guidelines.
Yeah. And 6 say no, but we should. So people are aware that they are probably better off with guidelines. And we hope that this partnership can help them out with documents we produced to get them started in working out those guidelines.
Here we see actually condition that may maybe challenge the use of social media in drug helpline organization. And here we see that in general, economy, understanding of within the organization of the potential of using social media, and lack of resources related to time are the conditions that maybe challenge most organizations.
Yeah. I think time and economy is, of course, closely related because time is money.
Yeah.
Lack of understanding, that's something that will probably grow over the years. We didn't see much changes compared to 2014, but I assume that in a few years' time, the situation might have evolved drastically as well.
This question was related to the 2 organizations that answered that they do not participate in social media for the first question that was asked. So we asked them, what is the reason for your organization that they do not use social media? And as we see, it's related to privacy, security, and they are in process of planning initiative in social media.
So once more, I guess this relates for the last few people who are not using social media or planning to use them. It shows how much this aspect of the sensitiveness of talking about drugs online in public and privacy issues, how much important this is for drug helplines and probably other helplines as well. So that's about it for us, I guess.
Yes, thank you for the attention.
And we hope to get our presentation on the FISAT website soon. And that's it for now.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, so hello, my name is Sturla Johansen. I'm the manager of the drug helpline in Norway, Rustelefonen. And I'm going to talk about one of the outputs from this project. This is our, well, you can see it on screen, is our new web page. It's based on responsive design. And why is the web page important? Well, we have about 30 to 40, perhaps even 50 people contacting us each day through the phone service, the chat, and also the question and answer pages on our webpage. But online, we have about 1,000 contacts each day. So basically, the most huge part of our service is the webpage. So that's making it quite important. The new webpage is a result of a collaboration with Westerdals, Oslo School of Art, Communication and Technology. We had 4 students from Westerdals starting work on this webpage early spring in 2014. And the webpage was launched early this year, so it was, well, it took a while to get it organized and programmed and ready. So why is responsive design important? Well, more and more people are using handheld devices such as mobile phones and tablets to go online, and for our page, it's actually more than 50% of the users are using using handheld devices. And responsive design makes it easier for the content on the web page to match the tablet or the mobile phone. I'll demonstrate for you now, hopefully. Well, now I've changed the screen size. So this might be the size for a mobile phone, and you see the content is being adjusted to the size of the screen. So if I make it bigger, like perhaps a tablet, you see it's adjusting again. So instead of making separate web pages for like laptops and desktops, computers, for mobile phones and for tablets, we have one design that is able to respond to the platform you're using, basically. So what's new on the web page? Well, there are quite a few things that are new, but I'm going to focus on a few things. For instance, this word cloud here is brand new, and it's a result of tagging all the articles with code words, if you want to, about what's the content is, basically. So if we click on cannabis here, we're going to get the articles that are most read about cannabis. So yeah, these are some of the articles. And if we go into further detail in one of the articles, we have also set up the page such that there are, well, you get the article you clicked on, but you also get suggestions on further readings. So these are the 4 articles about cannabis, or those tags used in the form article. That is the most read, basically the most popular ones. You also have the possibility to ask questions directly here. This is the question and answer service on the web page. If the things you're wondering about are not answered in the article, basically. In the bottom of the page, you also have directions for the Facebook site and for a YouTube site. I'll show you that briefly. So this is our Facebook site. And we use this site mainly for one-way communication. That's because of our concern about anonymity of the users. So basically it's consisted of articles, news articles, drug-related news articles, and that we have picked, usually in Norwegian. I have also used the web page for activities, you could call them. We had an activity. Well, this is just a picture, but it's a picture from the Advent calendar we had last Christmas, where you could attend the some kind of quiz or competition, answering questions either about our service or about drugs. So you get involved with the content, and then you could win prizes. And the design here shows some of the prizes you were able to win. So, and this is one of the things you can do to get more followers. And we have almost 11,000 followers now on our site. So that's quite a good number of people, I think. And most of them are quite young people. And that was also the targets for the activities we have had. I can also show you our YouTube page. And it's not that much content yet, but I'll show you a short video. So it says, is it dangerous to mix amphetamines and alcohol? And someone is quite upset about that question, obviously. So this is quite dramatic pictures. And then it says, how would your parents react to that kind of questions? And talk about drugs with us. We're going to guarantee you no hysterical fits. and it's then directing you to call the web page or to call the phone service, basically. And we have 3 different kinds of these. Yeah, those are directions to the other ones. So yeah, basically that was what I wanted to talk to you about. So if there are no questions, I'll leave the share to Kavan Institute. Okay, thank you.
Okay, this presentation is going to outline the use of social media by Cavan Institute. As an educational body, our use of social media is very different from that presented by ASLA. However, as a result of our involvement in this project, we have learned quite a lot about how we could use our social media outlets in dealing with more sensitive topics raised by our audience. And also it has expanded our knowledge and also that of our students' knowledge in the use of social media in areas other than marketing. Our main focus with our social media outlets, we primarily use Facebook and Twitter, but we also have a Google Plus account and we also have a YouTube account. But primarily our focus is on Facebook and Twitter. And as you can see here on screen, we have a shot of our Facebook account. We have over 5,000 likes on it. It's a very active and engaging Facebook account, and it's managed by my colleague Cara McDermott. It has drawn a lot of international praise in terms of the use of social media by an educational institution, and Cara strives to keep the page very relevant and updates it on a regular basis with topical issues not just relating to Cavan Institute or events taking place in Cavan Institute. It focuses on items of interest to our audience, to our fans. And primarily, the majority of people who have liked this page are either students or past graduates of Cavan Institute who wish to keep up with the news and events happening in the Institute. The page will have colourful, engaging photographs, video material and links to interesting articles. The majority of the items will relate to items happening in Cavan Institute, but we will also post news stories about job opportunities. We engage very much with the local community and local businesses in Cavan, and events and happenings that are currently taking place in Cavan will be shared on our Facebook page. However, we actually use it quite a lot at this time of the year and coming into August in our student recruitment, promotion and marketing campaigns, where we deal with queries from students. We post up information about courses and opportunities within Cavan Institute to take courses. Cara, as the administrator of the page, would receive quite a lot of private messages at different times of the years from students. Those messages would be referred straight on to our administration team, or the students would be referred to a post on our website. All of our social media tools are supported by a very comprehensive website, and on that website we would have a lot of frequently asked questions, FAQs, to which fans on the Facebook page would be directed to. In contrast, our Twitter account would be more focused on people who are very active in the education community. Primarily these would be educators, people involved in policy formation and education, but also the media. And in using our Twitter account, our social media coordinator would be very much focused on the use of hashtags and keywords, which is an underlying theme that's very important in the use of social media. And it's something that as active members of this partnership, we discovered a lot of sensitivities about some of the hashtags and some of the keywords that would be used. Our Twitter account, it gets a lot of traction. It's very good for, we would tweet quite a lot from it when there are events happening in the college or when we're attending events. So for example, at the moment we would be tweeting about this event and attending this project. In our tweets we would, apart from using hashtags, include other accounts that we would be quite involved with. So whether it's the Irish Department of Education, whether it's the local media in Cavan, or whether it's, in the case of our European projects, national agencies. The Twitter account would be very much used to direct people to events that are happening in the college. It might link back to our website. We would also post quite a lot of pictures. So that is the use of social media in Cavan Institute at the moment. And in terms of what we've learned from this project, we will be looking at the use of our social media outlets in a more student-focused area to support student queries and to expand on the services that are currently run by our student services officer. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary, and I am from Cyprus. I am a clinical psychologist working at Perseas. This is a counseling and treatment center for adolescents and their families dealing with substance abuse issues, as well as internet, video game, gambling, and alcohol addiction. All the counseling and treatment programs are run by psychologists, occupational therapists, and mental health nursing staff. Our center is a governmental organization within the mental health services of the Ministry of Health. So everybody can understand how slow sometimes things can get done. We also operate a helpline within the service, and the helpline is answered by counselors specialized in addictions. In 2013, our center, in cooperation with the Cyprus Youth of Organization, set up an application for smartphones. And actually, that was a quite improvement for us because this is an app including most of the helplines providing counseling and support within the country. Now, our involvement in this project has proven to be an educational and useful one, actually, because we were the only partner in this partnership not dealing with any social media tools at all. We had been thinking about it, but we've never actually thought of it as a priority of ours. So through this partnership, we started seriously flirting with the idea of promoting the center's philosophy and work in order to reach more people. So we conducted a focus group among our adolescents clients in order to assess the need and the usefulness of actually creating a Facebook page. Since through some research done, Facebook is the most popular social media tool among this population. Focus groups is a qualitative research methodology which actually allows for experiences and opinions and feelings to arise. So we thought that methodology was very helpful and very enlightening for us in order to decide whether to have a Facebook page or not. So positive and very encouraging outcome came out of these focus groups, and here we are. We do have a Facebook page now, which actually it was set up in late March, and that's why it's quite new to our audience. But actually, the reason we have it is because we want to promote our work, our activities, or probably provide informative material to our audience about drugs, about internet addiction, or any other mean of addiction. So the outcomes of this project to us was that the input and the experiences from partners working with social media, the development of social media guidelines, as well as the experience working and communicating through the Trello platform and the webinar, this very webinar experience bring us closer to development. And that's an element that describes the center's philosophy and the center's vision. So thank you very much.
So, hi again. I'm Tom. I already introduced myself. I'm coordinating the drug helpline in Belgium, the Dutch-speaking helpline that is. This is my colleague, Katrien, who joins me as she is managing our Facebook page. We want to share something about how we started with our Facebook page because as far as timing is concerned, it nicely coincided with how the partnership developed over the past almost 2 years. We did not use any social media up until the end of 2013 anyway. We were very keen to join in the partnership because we had some strong ideas on the use of social media. We were wondering who would, for God's sake, like something that sounds as depressive as a drug helpline, who would like to associate himself with a topic that often is associated with problems. How can we get into dialogue with people? How about anonymity and people who start exposing things that basically they are or they shouldn't share online for half of the world to see? And so we've been thinking about it a lot, and rather than starting and getting things sorted via trial and error, we first focused on setting up a strategy. It's a bit our culture, to go slow and to think ahead of things, all possible problems that may occur, and then once we have all the questions answered, start with a new thing within our organization rather than to go quick and learn out of practice. What we first did was online monitoring. It's been mentioned in the questionnaire results. We first went to see what can we be found online on social media, and what are people telling about our helpline. It was very limited, so that in itself was on one side comforting to notice that we weren't mentioned in a negative way, but on the other hand, it was a stimulus to start engaging in social media ourselves. Another important thing was to set goals. We don't want to start using social media because social media is a hype or because it's fun to do. So we really set our goals. We want to share information. We want to start looking for volunteers via social media. We want to do something about how people think and feel about drug use in society. So that's the goals that were defined. Along with those goals, of course, we needed to define our target audiences. We mainly focus on people that might want to call or mail or chat with our helpline, but also use it as a way to get into contact with or spread information to other professionals or with our volunteers. So that was well defined as well. Then on an organizational level, we had some things to decide. Clear roles were divided, who is going to do what, and it's really the way we use a Facebook page is really teamwork with clearly defined roles, who is the final responsible, who can have ideas for Facebook posts, who can publish them online, who does a follow-up of possible dialogue that's coming along. Even though to the extent to what can our volunteers do online? How about their anonymity? Can they like posts or share posts, or that's all been well defined on an organizational level. When it comes to content, of course, in relation to the target groups and the aims that we wanted to achieve, we decided a kind of mixture of posts that we wanted to publish. It can be information on alcohol and illegal drugs or gambling. It can be sharing information or sharing posts from others. It can be, some storytelling is always very important, things going on within the organization. So that's a whole mixture of things. We shouldn't focus too much on alcohol, not too much on illegal drugs either. We use Podio, which is a project management platform for our internal planning of website posts. So we, as a team, can there launch an idea for a post, have it edited by colleagues, and eventually planned in on Facebook itself. So that's a very structured way of working. And the policy, of course, also clearly needed to be detailed, saying, okay, who can do what and with which kind of content. Once more, I come back to this example of what can a volunteer do or not do on our Facebook page. We also pay a lot of attention on evaluation and measuring the effects of a Facebook page. Our focus has always been on quality rather than on quantity. We're not figure freaks counting every day how much likes we've got. We much more focus on how much interaction we achieve. And that's something Katrien will show more about via the Facebook page itself.
This is the Facebook Insights. First, I'm going to show you an overview of the fan base we have built over the last year. At the moment, we have 385 likes, which isn't a huge amount, but we've built this almost without a budget. It's not a lot of advertising that went in here. So in the beginning, we started out with about 50, mostly people from our own organization, then a little bit mailing and using it in the footer of your email. And then you see now and then that we gain a few likes. And it's just interesting to go see in the posts about which posts are gaining the most interaction and what is so special about those posts. And then you see that they generate a few likes. I think we have average 9 new likes every month, so it goes slowly but steadily. Here we have a jump. That was when we did some advertising. We had a seminar here about brothers and sisters of people who use drugs and alcohol. And then we had a budget to advertise about that. And of course, you then also gain new followers. What I wanted to show you was which kinds of posts do very well. And then you can see on the inside the interactiveness that you gain. And here we have an infographic, and that did really, really good. It was shown to approximately 1,000 people. And it is, this kind of post generates more shares, more likes, and more people who talk about it. Now, if you see in general, our finding is that things that do very well are infographics like this, YouTube movies, of course, YouTube films about funny things, but also really serious things like a seminar on ecstasy, really long, but it was shared also many times. Here is another one, and it is very concrete. It is about an app or a training program to reduce your gambling. So you see that it was 17 likes on this post. Then maybe another one. A big part of our audience is parents of users. So this post was about a free webinar, how you can react when you discover that your child is experimenting with drugs or alcohol. So it's very concrete. It gives tools to parents. So that was shared and liked also.
Okay, that's it for us. If you've got any questions, you can put them online or contact us later.
Good. Asle Fagerstrøm from Westerdals, Oslo School of Art, Communication and Technology. I presented myself when we presented this survey we did. Just briefly about this school, Westerdals Oslo School of Art, Communication and Technology is actually a school now based on a merging process from 3 different schools in Oslo. We are a private school which focus on topics such as technology, communication, art, TV, and management. We are the second educational organization in this project, and as mentioned before, we are using social media in a little bit different way as the other one do. And actually, at the moment, we are in a way reorganizing all the communication channels that we are used to this merging process. And unfortunately, a little bit sad, I don't have much to show. We have a website just now, and we have for sure also a Facebook site. But there will be more, I think, in the end of this year and hopefully next year. But however, I can say that we have, through the past years, very interesting experience with the use of social media. Especially, we have used social media for recruitment of students, and have a very, very interesting experience related to that. So we actually managed to increase the conversion rate with 30-35% compared to previous years. We have experimented a little bit with using chat and those kind of channels, which have been very successful. And when it comes to learning for students, we do not use much social media in general. I think there will be some teacher that's experimented a little bit, but in general, we use the learning management systems that is basis for most of the activities online. What we have learned from this partnership is that we have got some really good insight into how non-profit organizations are using social media. This is a knowledge that we bring with us into our own organization. So when we teach social media to students, some of the cases that we present is actually based on what we have learned from this partnership, which is very, very important. Important dimension also to tell about how non-profit organization can use social media. In addition, we have had 2 bachelor projects that have been working for Rus Telefon. One on the web page that was presented previous presentation, and one who made an app for the same organization. In addition, we also had 1 master project delivered based on this partnership. In addition, we have 1 publication presented in 2014 based on this drug helpline social media survey that we presented, which I think also is an important part of the activity here, also to present some research based on what we have done. In addition, I would like to mention that we also have some research activities related to social media. We do a lot sentiment analysis based on social media at our school. We do visual analytics. We make dashboard where we can see what kind of topic is hot at the moment in different communities around the world. We are also doing some research on mobile learning, where we also connect this to social media. So when you go through a learning program that you can publish on social media, the score you get, and you can start competing with other friends and so forth. And a project that we now kick off is what we call iResearch. It's a project where we will develop a mobile app to collect information. This can be information about what kind of social media is actually used on mobile phones. We can collect content on what are the users actually looking at in social media and mobile phones. This is also an app where we can collect information by asking questions. For example, participants who participate in a specific research project suddenly pop up 5 questions that they have to ask. They have to answer, and we can do this, for example, 3 times a day. And this questionnaire can also be related to GPS localization, that you got the questions will come up when you are in a specific area. This is a very interesting project that we are doing at the moment, and I hope also we can maybe use this app for the drug helpline organization in Europe. That was a little bit about Westerdals. Thank you.
Hello again. I'm Daan van der Gouw from the Trimos Institute in the Netherlands, working at the drugs, alcohol, quit smoking, and gambling info line. I will show you very briefly some of the sites, which is very similar to what you have already seen. So this is our Facebook page. We focus on Twitter, so this Facebook has some likes, but I think it's around, well, let me see, 235, so it's not that much, but at least we have a Facebook page. The same with YouTube channel. Every now and then we produce some new videos and we put it online. It's still a work in progress, but I would like to show you the Twitter account that we have. As we speak, we have 22,822 followers. Not very important, but it's nice to know that at least these people see your messages every now and then. The basis of our work is not so much treatment, but it's sharing and dissemination of information on drugs. So it's neutral, objective information on drugs, so that people can decide for themselves whether or not to use drugs or alcohol or any other substance. So here we have all kinds of messages that are now in the news. It's very similar to what some other helplines have in terms of Twitter account. As said before, we have one staff member working on a daily basis on specifically this Twitter account. Some more, but this is the main one. So it's 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a day. Sometimes it depends on the day, basically. But it's also in the weekend. So you have to have a person who is dedicated to this work. It's not a 9-to-5 job, and sometimes you have to be active late at night or on a Sunday afternoon, just to keep up with your followers and to keep the messages going. Well, what else do we have? Well, what has not been mentioned before is that it's also part of social media, as we see it, is to be online at fora, at drugs forums, to give neutral information about drugs in places where these people meet, in this case online. So on a weekly basis, we have 2 or 3 Dutch drugs fora related to the Dutch society, the Dutch community, and then we have questions on drugs. Sometimes people come up with questions. If they don't, we pose questions ourselves, and of course also the answer. It's very lively, and you can do this as long as you are seen as a reliable partner. And with these people, these very specific groups, we are in the lucky position that we are still seen as a very trustworthy organization. So if we mention something, if we give an answer to a question, people in general tend to believe what we have to say. So, which is very nice, but it also takes many years of working in this field. So we have all these, we have also a LinkedIn page. We have Facebook. What else? These are the main things. What I would like to address is a few things. Where can I find it? Here it is evaluation and monitoring. You can set up social media, you can set up a Twitter account and just do what you have to do. But if you don't evaluate whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't really make sense. So what we did in 2013, I think, was have a student work for a year on the Twitter account and to ask questions to the followers. So we set up a survey about things that were of importance to us. For instance, the number of tweets per day, the topics, why people were following us anyway, and it gave us a lot of input in how we do things, and we adjusted our work accordingly. So I would advise anyone, if you set up social media, evaluate it from now and then because it gives you very useful information. And since it's very interactive, why not doing all these evaluation in the same manner? And the other thing I'd like to mention is the monitoring, monitoring of social media. We have some experience with that. For instance, we wanted to know whether a phenomenon called neck nomination was popular in our social media or not. And so we found out through very simple, cheap software what was the impact of this neck nomination, and even more, what was the impact, what could have been the impact if we would have tweeted messages about this or not. We said initially, now we are not going to do this because you will promote a very stupid action. And then we used these tools, and as a result, we saw that probably because we didn't mention it at all, not just on social media, but in media in general, we didn't answer questions of journalists on this topic, that the topic was not so popular in the Netherlands. And after a couple of weeks, there was a peak, obviously, but it was finished quickly. So basically, to conclude, we are still in the progress of learning by doing, and we will continue to do so. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elena Nikolova, and I'm the Executive Director of Solidarność Association for Rehabilitation of Dependent People in Bulgaria. We work with addicted people and their families, and one of our structures is the National Drugs and Alcohol Helpline, which is the partner of this project.
Hi, I'm Svetlana Nikolova, also from Solidarność Association. I am a consultant on the telephone on the Bulgarian Drugs and Alcohol Helpline.
We have participated in the project since September 2013. We really do like this project because it inspired us to do much changes in our work.
We have been searching for a lot of information during that period. We have learned much about the work with social media, and we've shared the knowledge with our colleagues in Solidarność who didn't take part in the project.
What did we change?
We expanded our social media network, updated our 2 Facebook pages and our accounts in Twitter and YouTube. We created a Google Plus page and started our own blog.
We developed strategies for working with our social media, and we have been applying them successfully. We also trained a team member who has the responsibility to maintain our social media.
What are the benefits for us? We have more followers on our pages. The dialogue between us and our fans has become easier. We are more recognizable on the internet. and the team members increase their knowledge and qualification for working with social media.
This part of our work is very important to us because of several reasons. The people who use the services of the Drug and Alcohol Helpline have always reached us most easily via the internet. Some online communication channels, such as the forums and email, have lost their popularity over the last 2-3 years. This is a signal for us to find a new way of interaction with the users of our services and to be up to date with the technological advances. The social media have enabled us to lead a dialogue with different target groups much more easily. The well-maintained accounts in social media help our organization build a nice image in the eyes of the society and to show that it is reliable and accessible service. Social media offer an easy way to popularize our cause, to convey our values, to disseminate information and preventive messages about the risks of the use of psychoactive substances.
Our team had only two bigger difficulties in our work with social media. From our own experience, we concluded that the good maintenance of the social media requires a lot of time and human resources, which can be a serious obstacle for small-scale organizations. But the good evaluation of the needs of the organization and the opportunities given by the different social media can help overcome this difficulty.
The lack of funding for social media work is also a basic difficulty. We are forced to cope by spending the time and human resource of the team. According to the results of research of the team made, the NGOs working in the social sphere in Bulgaria as a whole do not use social media of their work. With them is not a priority. We believe that the products of this project will be useful to many organizations in Bulgaria. That's all.
And next is our colleague from Ireland, Eileen Dooley.
Hello again. So this is the last of our brief presentations from partners. I just want to say a small amount about the impact that this project has had on our service. Similar to Mary, our service was quite inexperienced in social media when we joined this project. We had started a Facebook page, but in a very limited way. Our helpline is a drug and alcohol helpline and also a HIV and sexual health helpline covering all of Ireland. We have a free phone helpline number and also an email support service. Our focus up until starting this project was on best practice skills on the phone and on the email, and I guess we didn't put very much energy into other aspects such as social media. But we became concerned that increasing the accessibility of our service was something we needed to put some attention into, and that was really what prompted us to get involved in this project. It was a challenge to us in terms of our skills, our experience and our time. But we dipped our toe in by setting up a Facebook page in, I think it was 2011. But what we found was that the time commitment was really quite considerable, and that's where we started this project. This project has given us insight into what's needed in order to have a robust social media strategy and have a sense of what the best practice and what the guidelines would be for doing it right. Our service is quite small, so we needed to consider when we were drafting our social media strategy, well, okay, what can we do, what's realistic, and what is the overall objective? And what we've pretty much concluded is that we can't do it well enough with the resources that we have. So it's not that we were saying that we can never engage in social media, but what we are saying is that what we've learned from this project is that at the moment we can't do it as well as we would like to do it, and that's been a learning piece, because otherwise we'd be just doing it half-heartedly or to a very minimal extent. The biggest gain from this project has been the peer communication aspect of this project, because this project had two elements. It was about communicating with our service users and also communicating with our colleagues in the same area. The peer communication aspect of this project has been very valuable to us. In this particular project, we've been using a platform called Trello, but there's also Podio and I think numerous other platforms that would do a similar job, where we communicate that way rather than through email, and we also share documents that way. And I found that a very valuable part of this project, and it's something that I think we will use again in future projects and in future work, collaborative work, particularly with people in the same job but in other countries. So that's been our conclusion as things stand. The project will finish up this summer, and we have learned a lot about social media and what's involved in doing it correctly. And as I say, at the moment we've evaluated that we do our best with it, but we're not able to do it as well as we would like to. And that's been learning, that's been insight. This webinar, as been mentioned already, has been fantastic learning as well, because certainly something I have never been involved with before, and to be able to communicate this way is fantastic. So that brings the presentations to an end. I just want to kind of round up our webinar by firstly just inviting any last minute questions. If anybody has any questions about any aspect of the content of the webinar, any of the presentations, or if you have a question about any aspect of the project, feel free to put them on the chat there if you can, or you can email them to info@fesat.org, which is info@fesat.org. We will be sending out an evaluation of this webinar, asking you to honestly tell us what you think and how you think it's gone, and if there's any improvements or different things like that. We'll be emailing it to you within the next 24 hours. And also to say that the presentations, once more I'll tell you that the presentations are available on info@fesat.org. So all the things that you saw today will be up there, and they're accessible if you email that address. I think that's everything. Just like to thank everybody for participating and for your patience, and thank you. Okay. Log in. Is that off?
I didn't mute it yet.
So it's like a recording. Just while I don't think we've ended quite yet, but if just to note that we have recorded this webinar and we'll place it online in due course. As I say, at the moment, the information on that will be through that email address. We're not exactly sure where we're going to post it yet. Thank you.